Dear students, good morning to everybody. I would like to continue the lesson what I started the last week, that is chapter 5, Digestion and Absorption, where I stopped up to oral cavity and buccal cavity. Let's continue now. Now what are the components found in the oral cavity and buccal cavity? There are two components found in the oral cavity and buccal cavity. Number one, teeth. Number two, tongue. Let's see now the nature of the teeth in human beings. You know the tooth is formed of a material, what is called dentine. If you are taking what is called the tooth, it is formed of dentine. It is covered over by means of a very sensitive, that is actually a soluble material, what is called enamel. So tooth is made of dentine and enamel, separated by two different types of cells. Let's bother about that one. Okay, now here we are talking about the different types of dentition. Dentition means the arrangement of teeth. Dentition means the arrangement of teeth. What are the different types of teeth we can explain regarding human beings? Number one, thecodont. The teeth of human beings together called thecodont type. Thecodont dentition arrangement. What's the reason for that one? Theco means cavity, otherwise called alveolus. The cavity in the jawbone is called alveolus or socket. So in that case, the teeth are found embedded in both the jawbones. Such a condition is called thecodont condition. The dentition is called thecodont. Dentition means nature of arrangement of teeth in the buccal cavity. So number one, our teeth are described as thecodont because the teeth are found embedded in the jawbone. This condition is called thecodont. Theco means cavity or socket or alveolus. The second one, our teeth also described as diphyodont, diphyodont and diphyodont, because during our lifetime we have developed two sets of teeth. In other mammals too, we have two sets of teeth during development. So one set of teeth that erupted means formed, just generated during what we call the sixth month. So one set of teeth which erupted from 6th month to 24th month. 24th month, from 6th to 24th month, which is replaceable. This type of teeth are normally replaceable. And such a type of teeth normally called as deciduous teeth or milk teeth. So human beings and many mammals have developed two sets of teeth. That's why it's called diphyodont condition. Development of two sets of teeth in our lifetime. And one milk teeth, otherwise called deciduous teeth. It is a temporary teeth. It is a replaceable teeth. It is erupted. Erupted means formed between 6th month to 24th month. Between 6th month, or we can say after 6th month, these teeth are formed. So it consists of a set of 20 teeth. Only 20 teeth are formed first. Now if you are taking actually the teeth, I'll come back to this one, the number of milk teeth. What's the reason why we have? Normally we can see the adult human beings have 32 teeth. But here during the formation, at the initial stage, we have a set of 20 teeth. They are called milk teeth or temporary teeth or deciduous teeth. They are soft in nature, hence the name deciduous. Milk teeth formed during the early childhood. Temporary because they are being replaced. Now once actually we are attaining the age, a set of teeth normally replaces this milk teeth after 6 years. 6 years. This is after 6th month, the first set of teeth develop. Now after 6 years, we have the eruption of another set of teeth which replaces the milk teeth. The total number of teeth which replaces the milk teeth, 32. So milk teeth only 20, and in the case of that is adult teeth, we have 32. But at your age of 80 to 25, we have only what's called 28 teeth. 28 teeth only. So in your stage, this is a question also neat question, how many teeth a person at the age of that is 18 to 25. So at the age of 18 to 25, you are anybody has only 28 teeth, only at the age of 25. You have, that is, full set of 32 teeth. I'll tell you the reason why. So we have milked the 20 in number and the permanent teeth 32 in number. They are formed permanently, they are not being replaced. May be broken but not replaced. So this is the natural condition of replacement. So milk teeth 20 in nature and permanent teeth, that is normally 32. Now the permanent teeth, actually they are again classified. They are again actually described as what are called heterodont teeth. Why are they called heterodont teeth? Now let's discuss. The permanent teeth, or we have the adult teeth, are of 4 different types. As the teeth are different in size and shape and also in function, such a condition is called heterodont. Hetero means different. If you are taking shark or frog, in these 2 cases all the teeth are similar. Such a condition is called homodont. In shark and frog, the teeth are all similar in size and shape. Such a condition is called homodont. But in our case, we have 4 different types of teeth in size, shape, and also the function wise. Such a condition is called heterodont. What are the 4 different types of teeth? Incises. So they are chisel-like and used for cutting. Altogether we have 8 incises are present. 8. The number of incises 8. Upper jaw 4 and lower jaw 4. Then we have the canines. These are dagger shaped, just like a knife, dagger shaped, and used for tearing the flesh. Okay, there are 4 in number. There are 4 in number. Then the premolars and molars both together call us a grinding teeth, having some cavities on the surfaces. The cavities present on the surfaces of such teeth are called cusp. Some shallow cavities are present on the surface of teeth of molars and premolars. If you touch with your tongue on the surface of the teeth, you can find shallow cavities. And if you have the cusp, then such a condition is called bunodont. Bunodont. So, the premolars and molars are specifically called bunodont because they have shallow cavities on their upper surface. They are called cusp. Now, if you are taking the premolars altogether, we have 8 premolars, upper jaw 4 and lower jaw 4. Okay, upper jaw 4 and lower jaw 4. So 8 premolars are present. They are grinding teeth. They are used for grinding. Then we have the last 3 in each half of the upper or lower jaw. So totally we have 12 teeth. They are called as molars. They are used for grinding and crushing. They are also called as the grinding teeth. They also have the cusp. They are normally used for grinding and crushing the hard materials. So totally we have 32 permanent teeth. 8 incises, 4 canines, 8 what is called the premolars, and then 12 altogether. Upper jaw has 16, lower jaw has 16, together 32. Now, the arrangement of teeth in each half of the upper jaw in the order of what is called I, C, PM and M is called what is known as dental formula. So we can represent actually the teeth arrangement, the total number of teeth in the form of what is called dental formula. That is called nothing but the arrangement of teeth in each half of the upper jaw and lower jaw. The meaning for that one, if you are taking one half of the jaw, either upper or lower, the second half is a mirror image of the first half. That's why in the dental formula we are representing only one half of the upper jaw and one half of the lower jaw. So we are representing the teeth, the upper jaw in the numerator, and we are representing the teeth in the denominator for what we call the lower jaw teeth. Now the next one, what is dental formula? So our teeth also called bunodont because they have cusp. Okay. Now write down the dental formula. What is dental formula? Now what is dentition? Dental formula is representing the different types of teeth in the form of a formula. Dentition means arrangement of teeth in oral cavity. Just like what we have heterodont, then bunodont. We have the permanent teeth, diffeodont type, or we have for example thicodont type. That arrangement is called dentition. Okay, we'll go for the next one, dental formula. Now we can represent the arrangement of teeth in each half of the upper and lower jaw in the form of a dental formula. What is a dental formula? The arrangement of teeth in each half of upper and lower jaw in the order of, that is, incisors, canines, premolars and molars is called dental formula. Suppose you are taking the permanent teeth. It's an example, adult teeth. So we have, I mentioned already, just 8, that is what is called normally incisors, 4 canines, 8 premolars, and then just what we have 12 molars. So we are taking each half. So we can represent one half. In each half of the upper jaw, so we have 8 teeth. And similarly, in each half of the lower jaw, we have 8 plus 8, 16. If you just represent one half of the upper jaw and one half of the lower jaw, then we can have the dental formula, because actually the arrangement of teeth in each half is a mirror image of another half. That's why it's being represented. Now we are representing what are the teeth in the upper jaw in the numerator, and in the denominator we are representing what is called the teeth in lower jaw in the order of incisors, canines, premolars and molars. Now the dental formula for humans, adult, that is 32, 2, 1, 2, 3. That is incisors, canines, premolars and molars. So that's about totally 32. So I multiply by 2, we are getting permanent teeth. Now in the case of milk teeth, we have premolars present, incisors present, canine present, premolars are absent. And also one of the molars, the last molar is absent. So in each half. So totally 4 being absent. So if you are taking for example the dental formula 2102, 2102, then you are getting 10 teeth actually in upper jaw and 10 teeth in lower jaw, totally 20 in the case of milk teeth. So what are the teeth absent in the case of milk teeth? So in milk teeth, 8 premolars, and last 4 molars are absent. Last 4 molar means 1 molar in each half of the upper and lower jaw, right side and left side. That's about what we have. How many teeth are completely absent in the case of milk teeth? Total of 12 teeth. That's why 20 plus 12 we can have 32 in the case of adult. Now we can also have the dental formula in different animals. If you are taking the dental formula for rabbit, 2033, 1023. So upper jaw we have, you see that 116, the lower jaw has 12. So a total of 28. Now the highest number of teeth is normally observed in the case of opossum, a poached mammal like kangaroo, American opossum found in America. There you got the highest number of teeth in the animals, 50. That's the highest number. That is highest number of teeth in that animal, opossum. So I mentioned already you have a total number of teeth of 28. So at your age, the number of teeth at the age of 18 to 25, we have 28 only. Now you all have 28. So that means the last molar, normally called as a wisdom teeth, will be erupted after the age of 21, between 21 to 25. Okay. So the last 4 molars, they are called as a wisdom teeth. They are found only at the age of 21, between 21 to 25. It may vary according to the person. That's why I said here 18 to 25. So students of you, that is either boy or a girl, you have at present only 28 teeth. The last molar being absent, it will be erupted only after the age of 21. So I mentioned all the highest number of teeth, that is 50. And in the case of dental formula of rabbit, we have no canines. No canines. We have studied already in the case of rabbit in 10th standard. That region is called what is called diastema, absence of canine teeth. So that's about the dental formula. What is the problem arises if the teeth are not maintained properly? You'll see that one. What is gingivitis? Simply we can say the inflammation of the gum. Any word ending with the suffix tis referring to the inflammation. For example, appendicitis, inflammation of appendix. Hepatitis, inflammation of liver. Meningitis, inflammation of the brain membrane. So like that we have any word ending with the word, the suffix tis is referring to the inflammation. So gingivitis means the inflammation of the gum. The another name for gum is gingiva. This is another name of gum. The mouth gum is otherwise called gingiva, hence the name gingivitis. Sometimes what will happen, the minerals like calcium and then what we call magnesium present in the food get deposited on the surface of the teeth, covering the surface of the teeth to form a layer, a hard layer of tartar, we can say, just a calculus, hard layer. That hard layer gets deposited and form what is called the plaque, the deposition. So even also we have the plaque formation in the inner lining of blood vessels, in the form of fat. That results in blood pressure, heart attack, etc. Any abnormal lining we can say plaque. So the plaque is also formed, you see that one in the brain, covering the surface of the brain. So plaque is nothing but abnormal covering. So here a hard layer is formed in the form of tartar or calculus. Calculus means story-like structure, and that is called plaque. If you are not just brushing your teeth regularly, if the plaque is not removed because of non-brushing of teeth regularly, what will happen? The plaque spread down the tooth, and it also fills the gap between what is called the enamel and the gum line. Enamel and the gum line. The narrow gap is present between the gum and the tooth. That is called narrow gap, otherwise called as a gum line. So, and causes the inflammation of what is called the gingiva or the gum, resulting in bleeding of the gums, redness of the gum. Even also it causes bad smell, and that is called what is known as gingivitis. I mentioned already, inflammation of gum is simply called as gingivitis or inflammation of gingiva. Okay, that's about gingivitis. What are the symptoms? The redness of gingiva or gum, or we can also the bleeding of the gums, and which results in bad smell. Now, I mentioned about the tooth is formed of two materials. One, the dentine, the hardest material secreted by odontoblast cells. Another one covering the covering surface of the crown region. The crown region is the one which is exposed, and that is called enamel. So, the hard chewing surface of the tooth is called enamel. It is highly sensitive. If it is not removed, what will happen? You feel sensitiveness in the teeth. So, the hard chewing surface of the tooth is called enamel. What is its function? It helps in mastication and grinding of food. It helps in mastication and grinding of food. Now, some main questions related to tooth or enamel. So, enamel is the hardest secretion in the body. The hardest secretion in the body is enamel, not other secretion. It is the hardest secretion being deposited over the teeth. And so, it is formed of a salt, what is called hydroxyapatite. That is nothing but a combination of calcium phosphate and calcium hydroxide combined together to form hydroxyapatite, the one which makes the enamel. Then, the enamel is secreted by amyloblast cells. There are two types of cells in the formation of teeth. One, amyloblast for the formation of enamel. Another one, odontoblast, responsible for the formation of the hard material dentine, the bone-like structure that make what is called actually the tooth. And that one is called a dendrite, that is produced by odontoblast. Now the enamel is secreted by amyloblast cells. So amyloblast cells, the nature of the salt, the hardest secretion. These were the three questions asked in the NET question paper. Okay, so that's all about teeth and what happens if the plaque is not removed regularly. Okay, next one we have to talk about the tongue, a few words. Now the second component in the buccal cavity is tongue. It is a freely movable muscular organ. It is not a smooth muscle, but it is a skeletal muscle. Tongue is made up of skeletal muscle. Don't say smooth muscle. It is attached to the bone, hence called skeletal muscle or striated muscle. It is not a smooth muscle, though it is soft in nature without bones, but attached to the bone at the back. Now it is a freely movable muscular organ attached to the posterior end of the buccal cavity by a small ligament called frenulum. If you are lifting your tongue, you can see there is a vertical partition-like structure that is called frenulum, where to the floor of the buccal cavity. So the posterior to the floor of the buccal cavity, where the front part of the tongue is free. This is number one. What are the functions of tongue? So it is called universal toothbrush. It is called universal toothbrush. Suppose you don't have what's called toothstick. After eating any chicken or mutton, you can make use of your tongue, the tip, to remove such what is called the captured, trapped, what is called the meat or mutton or chicken. That's why it's called universal toothbrush. In the absence of toothbrush, it can remove such things. And it helps in number one, intake of food. Number two, chew and mix the food with the saliva. Chewing and mix food with the saliva. Number two, to swallow in the form of a bolus. So the mucus present in the saliva is responsible for making the food bolus easily swallowable. That is because of the twisting action of the tongue. And finally, if the tongue, without tongue, you cannot speak. So to speak. Now, what are papillae? On the surface of the tongue, we have a number of projections. These projections are called papillae. They are nothing but a collection of taste buds. We can feel the four different types of taste because of the presence of taste buds. They are found in clusters, and such clusters are formed in the form of projections, and such projections are called papillae. In human beings, there are three types of papillae. They are filiform, fungiform, and circumvallate. But in the case of rabbit, one more type along with these three types, what is called just foliate type. The fourth type is called foliate type. Leaf-like, what is called the taste bud collection. So the foliate type. So the foliate type is absent in human beings but present in rabbit. So this is one neat question. So four types of, that is what we have the papillae in the case of rabbit, and only three types of papillae in the case of human beings. The papillae which are absent in human beings are the leaf-like foliate type. Okay, that's about the tongue. Okay, now the next one I want to conclude with that what's called the pharynx, a few words. The next part is pharynx. The oral cavity or buccal cavity leads into a short common passage for food and air, and this is called as a pharynx. The esophagus, what's called the food pipe, and what we have the trachea, the windpipe, they open into the pharynx, the common passage for both trachea and esophagus. Now the pharynx opens into the esophagus through a wide opening. That wide opening is present at the back of the pharynx. That wide opening is called as a gullet. Glottis, the opening of the trachea. Gullet, the opening of the pharynx into the esophagus. Okay, it's a wide opening of the pharynx which enters into the esophagus. Now what is epiglottis? A question. Now it is a flap of cartilaginous bone that prevent the entry of food into the glottis, the opening of larynx and the opening of trachea during swallowing food. That's why our elders are always saying that one while eating you are not supposed to just talk. The meaning for that one while we are talking, the glottis is kept open, allowing the food to enter the pharynx. So to avoid the entry of food during swallowing, there is a flap of cartilage present, to talk about more under the respiratory system, which prevents the entry of food by closing the glottis. By closing the glottis while swallowing, so the food enters only into the esophagus and not into the trachea. Okay, now what type of cartilage? We have different types of cartilage. One neat question, the epiglottis is formed of elastic cartilage. The epiglottis is formed of elastic cartilage. We also have a pair of lymphoid tissues present at the sides of the pharynx. These are all called actually pharyngeal tonsils, because three types of tonsils we'll be talking about under respiratory system: pharyngeal tonsils, lingual tonsils, and palatine tonsils. These pharyngeal tonsils present at the sides of the pharynx are otherwise called adenoids. This is another neat question. The pharyngeal tonsils are not true tonsils. They are otherwise called as adenoids. They are developing during the early stage in children but disappearing gradually. So two questions I mentioned about the pharyngeal tonsils are called adenoids, and the epiglottis is formed of a type of cartilage what's called elastic cartilage. One type of cartilage, because we have three different types of cartilage bones. So with this I control have to pass on to the esophagus, the remaining part of the digestive system, and then we'll go for the glands, the next class. Okay, and go through the notes, and I will give the questions for assignment. Do that one proper. Okay, thank you.